5 minutes for questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate that. Thank you all for being here today and answering these questions. I would be remiss to not remind everybody that drug shortages, particularly of sterile injectables, led to some healthcare providers feeling dependent on the supposedly sterile compounded drugs that ultimately led to the fungal meningitis outbreak in 2012 that killed 64 Americans, including 2 in my area. Because these drugs were more difficult to obtain, illegal manufacturers that called themselves compounding pharmacies like NECC entered the market to fill the need of hospitals and outpatient clinics for sterile injectables. Thankfully, Congress put FDA on notice with FDASIA to deal with the drug shortages, much like Congress did with the Drug Quality and Security Act with large-scale compounding and illegal manufacturing. FDA officials have signaled that the agency has begun to identify signals to better predict quality issues at manufacturing facilities. Dr. Throckmorton, can you comment on these improvements?
Mostly to say that we understand the importance of getting that right. So identifying what those metrics are and then having a discussion about how they would be used is very important. And so our part of our ongoing efforts these coming year and beyond are to speak with manufacturing experts that can talk about the kinds of measures that a plant uses to follow their own manufacturing quality, understand those things better, and then talk about how a purchaser might make use of those kinds of information.
And I appreciate that. And one of the concerns that I had was that it appeared in that fungal meningitis outbreak that the lawyers at FDA were not using all the powers that were available to them to oversee. And while we don't want too much oversight that stops manufacturers who are doing the right things from producing their product, I'm hopeful that the lawyers are being more aggressive if they see something that looks like it's out of line, because while we want to have a good supply, we want to have a safe supply as well. Would you not agree with that, and do you think the lawyers are being a little more aggressive post the outbreak of the fungal meningitis problem?
I would absolutely agree. We need to do anything we can to assure a safe supply.
All right. Dr. Crosse, GAO recommended that the FDA improve its databases so the agency can employ more predictive analysis to its preventive activities. How did the agency respond to this critique, and how far off are they from putting your recommendations into practice?
FDA agreed with our recommendations, and my understanding is they are beginning to do it immediately.
All right. Also, the GAO report found that the FDA lacked policies, procedures, and specific training materials related to management and use of its existing drug shortage database. What impact does this have on the agency's ability to use this database to prevent or mitigate shortages?
Well, we think they do need to have these kinds of standard procedures in place to assure the accuracy of the data and the understanding on the part of their staff of exactly how data should be entered and how it should be analyzed. They also agreed that they would move forward on those steps.
I appreciate that. What role do you think this database could play in addressing future drug shortages?
Well, we think it's important for the agency to have good information, because they need to be able to look at this more broadly, to look within classes, to look across time, to be able to measure whether or not they're putting the right steps in place and having the kind of impact to improve the situation, rather than treating these as each individual kinds of situations that have to uniquely be solved.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much. With that, Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Chair, thank you, gentlemen. Now